Hey everyone, in this video, my goal is to show you all the animals that we saw, actual footage of the animals that we saw on our trip to Yellowstone, where we spent three whole days going through the loop. If you guys don't know how Yellowstone works, there's the grand loop. It makes a figure eight. So there's a top circle and a bottom circle, and then there's different entrances on the east and west. And where I'm pointing here is basically where you'll find some of the most animals. Okay, so like near the east entrance, all the way down to that little S, all the way curved to the pond or the lake there. That's where we saw a majority of our animals, and we left at around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, all the way to 6:30 at night, and until sunset is when we saw the animals. And if you ask the rangers for a kid's map, they'll give you this green map as well as like this yellow map to see where all the different animals you can see are. And then this is a map of the Tetons, and we didn't see any moose at Yellowstone, but we saw them in the Tetons at the very end. And where I'm pointing is where you'll most likely find moose, because we went for 2 days in the Tetons and it was only the second day that we found moose. So just a tip there. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys footage of the animals we saw. This is the yellow-bellied marmont. It was our favorite animal because he was so stinking cute. The next one is a deer, a mule deer. He was freaking amazing. He was a giant, and it was just incredible to see, especially with the cloudiness of the day. FYI, just bring a DSLR with a telephoto lens if you can. This is an elk. This elk was massive, beautiful, had velvet. This is another deer that we saw, and again, I'm showing this to you guys in order of when we saw them on our 3-day trip, right? And then I saw a bunch of cars on the road, as you can see, and then this is a black bear. This black bear was absolutely beautiful. It had 2 baby cubs with it. We could tell that this is where the bear lives because there were orange cones everywhere. You can tell if it's a grizzly bear versus a black bear because a grizzly bear will have a hump on its back. Okay, so this one doesn't have a hump, and so this is definitely a black bear. It was just so cute to see. They were pretty far away. I'm using a Sigma lens. I'll go ahead and link down below. I spent, I think, $100, $150 to rent this lens so I could get the zoom. And make sure you bring binoculars because some of these bears are so far away, they should be. So make sure that your kids have binoculars so that they can see these animals. And then with the telephoto lens, with my DSLR, having a video capability, we were able to see like the bears really close on the LCD monitor. But look how cute they are. They're so amazing. I know I'm kind of shaky here, but it was almost like when you see a bear, you freaking run. Okay, you run to where they are, but make sure you have a very safe distance to them. On this trip, we saw maybe 1 male bear, and then the others were mama bears with their cubs. And normally they like wide open spaces, and so we never saw them necessarily in the woods or in trees, but we saw them in open spaces. And so you can see like the little baby cubs, one's like black and one's brown, so they're all different colors, believe it or not, and they're absolutely beautiful. Like when you see a bear, it's like it's nothing like you're seeing on video right now. When you see these bears, they're absolutely beautiful. You know that there is a bear there because number one, there will be orange cones, especially in June when the mama bears have had their baby cubs. They'll normally have like a habitat or area that they're grazing in, at least from what I could gather. And normally there will be rangers asking people to move and not stop, because when there is a bear scene, the traffic pretty much comes to a halt almost, and so the rangers are trying to get them out of there. Normally the rangers will not tell you exactly where the bears are, so even if you're going to ask a ranger, just be aware of that caveat there. And they only last there for, you know, a good 20 minutes or so. So when we saw this bear, the bears were like grazing, and then they basically went up this hill after a while. So it was just a beautiful sight to see. See bison everywhere. Like bison are pretty much seriously everywhere. So if you go to the Roosevelt Lodge and you want to see your first bison, they are right there grazing. You can also see them at Yellowstone or Old Faithful Inn, because there's a bison that just lives right there by the door. So there's just bison everywhere. But what's really cool is when you see them in these herds. And so this area is the Lamar Valley area, and you have to have binoculars because they will be all far out in this distance in these little stream areas or these meadows and valleys, and it's absolutely breathtaking. This is an antelope. You'll see them again also in Hayden Valley and Lamar Valley, and this one was absolutely amazing. It had horns. Sorry for the shakiness of the video, but it was just really, really cool just to see, and this lighting couldn't be better for these animals. I mean, this one I think was taken around 7:30 at night. I'll go ahead and put the timestamps on all the times where we actually saw the animals, but it was really, really cool just to see them out grazing. And so here are the bison, and this was an absolutely incredible photo. I took a picture of my kids with them in the background, like far away enough. Now, I will tell you guys, other tourists, I don't know, some of them don't have a brain, because I saw some lady come out with a bison maybe 25 yards away, and she had a freaking baby held onto her while she was getting close to the bison. Like, it was crazy. People are nuts. This is on the side of the road, and you could see them sparring here, which was really cool, but it was kind of scary because they were like right next to the cars, you know. We had a bison actually walk in front of our car because we were just stopped because these bison were just like walking across the street, and so everyone stops. Obviously, it's pretty amazing. But can you imagine having a baby right there on that second car? Like, that's crazy. People are nuts. So these are wild animals, guys. If you have a baby, just keep the baby in the car. If you want to see the bison and hurt yourself, that's fine, but like, just make sure that the baby's in the car, please. But this bison just walked in front of our car, which is really, really cool, just to see. I mean, they are massive, and they're shedding fur right now. Like I said in my other video where I talked about, there's an app called Guide Along, and it tells you all about the animals, all about Yellowstone and other national parks as well. So make sure you download that. That is really, really neat. And if you haven't seen my video, go ahead and check this out. This is another black bear, and I think this was a male. We saw this one the night before near the petrified tree. Petrified tree is basically a tree that has turned into stone over the course of several thousands of years, and so it's become hard as stone. But right across from it is a meadow, and this is where we saw this black bear the night before. And it was so dark that we couldn't take a photo of it, or video of it. This black bear was so close to the car, guys. Like, we went back, and then we looked down, and the bear was like literally on the side of the hill that we were driving on. And so make sure you're looking very, very closely wherever you're driving. Again, bison are everywhere. I think after the fourth set of bison, we had our bison fix at that point. But they're just still beautiful, majestic animals, cool to see in the wild. Now, near Fishing Bridge, you'll also find a lot of waterfowl and just birds. And so this bird was really, really pretty. I don't exactly know what it's called, but it was just really cool. Light was perfect here. We saw pelicans as well that were dipping their heads in water, which was neat. We, on this trip across 3 days, have saw probably 20 bears or so. I will say that the animals that we didn't see that were on the green sheet in Yellowstone specifically was moose. Moose we could find in the Tetons, and then also we did not see a wolf. We did see a coyote, but we didn't see a wolf. But I know there are a lot of wolf snobs, and there are packs of wolves there, and they were recently introduced to the park, but we weren't able to see any on our trip. If you stay at any of the lodges, especially Grant Village and Old Faithful Inn, they give you bear soap. So it's soap that looks like a bear, and it's super, super cute. As you can see here, this bear, when you compare it to the other mama bear that we saw, this bear is it looks like a black bear. It's not a black bear. It's actually called, it is a black bear. And if you see a brown bear, it's not necessarily a brown bear. Brown bears are meaner, and they're in Alaska. So this is a black bear, and as you can see, it's super close to us. We saw this at night, and so I would recommend taking your DSLR and then pushing up your ISO so that you can get the shot, because most of the animals come out around the dusk period. These are elk that you're seeing, well, a single male elk. You can see its antlers, and it has velvet on it. These animals are so pretty. Like, they're like this caramel color, and they look strong. I mean, it's pretty awesome. There is this log house around Fishing Bridge, and when we saw elk for the first time, we saw a herd of them around this log house. So just remember, around Fishing Bridge, there is a log house that you'll be able to probably find elk there if you look very, very closely. All right, so here you see a grizzly bear, and you can see the grizzly bear because it has a hump right behind its neck, and it's really, really strong when compared to its cousin, the black bear. But this bear was basically out in the middle of the open. It wasn't in an area that was known for having bears, so I don't think there were cones there, but there was definitely a ranger there making sure that everyone was far away enough. And the bear kept coming closer and closer to the road, and so the rangers would tell you to go back in your car. Here you can see it has baby cubs. I mean, it was just amazing to see a grizzly bear. We wanted to see a grizzly bear so bad, and we were able to see one on our third day. Look how big and strong they are, and they're digging for food. We don't know exactly what kind of food it's digging for, but you can see that there's a bear on the other side too. So there's two baby cubs that we saw with it. It's one thing to go to a zoo and see the bears. It's another thing to see them in the wild. In their own habitat, and this was absolutely incredible to see. And these baby cubs were so big, like so big when compared to their mom too. They were bigger definitely than the black bears that we saw, but it was just really neat. And what you don't see is there's a ton of people on the side of the road capturing the same moment as me. Okay, so if you see crowds in Yellowstone and there are cars, chances are it's either a bear or it's a wolf, right? And so it's really cool to see, especially when the bears are stepping on their hind legs. Here you can see my husband carrying his tripod as well as a DSLR, and all the cars are stopped to see the bears. I mean, they were close, guys. As you can see here, they're right there, and there were tons of cars waiting to watch these majestical creatures. I know coyotes are everywhere, but we saw a coyote out in the open, which is kind of crazy. We didn't see a wolf, but we did see a coyote, and that was kind of cool to see these scrunchy little animals that were, I mean, it was just interesting to see them out in the open. And we also saw Pronghorn, and this one is a female, doesn't have the horns. I think they're called horns. Maybe that's why they call it pronghorns. But you can see that they're pretty much out in the open as well. So if you see any meadows, you'll be able to find them as well. Now, the last part of our vacation was going to the Tetons, and we spent 2 days, and this is the second day of the Tetons, and we were able to finally find a moose. The moose was absolutely really, really cool to see. We didn't see a male moose that had, like, you know, the big antlers, horns, whatever you want to call them, and this was really, really cool to see, but it was like pouring rain, but they say that that's moosey weather, so we were able to see it also with its calf. We found them at the Ox Bend turnout, as well as what they told us was like Moose Wilson Road was another place to see them, as well as Gross Venture River. So those are the three areas: Oxbow Bend turnout, Gross Venture River, and then Moose Wilson Road. And we tried our luck, and it was like a 50-50 shot, and I guess we won that gamble because we were able to see it on our last day. This was pretty much like maybe 100 yards away with our telephoto lens. You can see that we saw two moose there. This one is a baby male, it looks like, and so you can see it's already trying to grow its antlers, which was really, really cool. And they're eating what I believe are willow trees. So if you see a lot of willow trees around, they might be there as well. But just really neat to see all the wildlife at Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, where moose rounded out all of our animal sightings. Fortunately, we didn't get to see the wolf that we wanted to see, but make sure that my last tip is you grab the green form that normally is sent for kids. When they ask you if you want a map, say yes, and you'd like the kids map as well, so that you can know where all the animals are, because there's a picture of all the animals on the different parts of the Grand Loop, as well as on the yellow form, it tells you if they're herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore. So there you have it. Those are my best tips to give to you to make sure that you're seeing wildlife and actual footage of the animals we saw on our 3-day trip. Hopefully you guys found this useful. If you did, please go ahead and ring the bell and subscribe if you want more notifications on family vacations and tips and tricks on them. Bye.